our founder and CEO, Olga Feldmayer, could not come today, which is the one and only Bitcoin queen of Switzerland. But I will do my best to share with you our vision and how we want to achieve it. So basically today I'm talking about democratization to access to wealth. So we are basically very lucky to see two very big technological shifts which change our everyday life dramatically. So the first thing is the internet. So the internet gives everyone freedom of speech and access to information and knowledge. I mean, if you think about how people got to information and knowledge before the internet, it was like very difficult. You could only use newspapers or the media, the television, and basically more or less the access was limited to only local news. And some of them might have been like censored. But nowadays with the internet, everyone can look up everything what they want to know, doesn't matter where they are or more or less how much money they have. And they also have the freedom of speech. So they can go to a forum, they can go to a social media channel and just write about what they think and put it online so everyone can see. I mean, there are some exceptions. There are still countries with censorship, but like overall, most of the people have access to all types of information. But if you look at the way how people invest their money and use their wealth and grow their wealth, it's still very limited to the very high net worth individuals, to the so-called ultra high net worth individuals. And if you think of that, basically you can do whatever you want with your money, doesn't matter how much money you have. I would like to give you some examples to show you basically that it's not the way we think it is. So if you think about people living in China, for example, if you're living in China and you're like a resident of China, the government will restrict you to do foreign investments. So you can do only investments within China itself. If you think about India, for example, or other countries, maybe in Africa, then you will see a lot of people that they don't have access to a bank account. So their wealth is something which they can just hold in their hands. And you might think that this is like only an exceptional case to some of the developing countries. But if you look at the United States, for example, there, if you would like to invest into ICOs or cryptocurrencies, your bank will tell you that you're not allowed to. And if you look at the biggest ICO, which happened in all times, EOS, for example, then you will see that US citizens were restricted to invest their money in this asset class. And well, if you were fortunate to get a certain amount of wealth and to make good investment decisions, and then you live in countries like Ukraine or Venezuela or Argentina, then it could happen to you that there is a hyperinflation and you lose all your money which you collected through generations within weeks or months. And here I would like to share a little story of mine because I come from Eastern Europe as well, originally. And I can remember that my grandfather basically opened a bank account for me, my brother and my mother as soon as we were born, and we were like babies, with my brother. And he collected money for 20 years. And it was quite a lot of money, but as soon as you received the paycheck, I could only buy a t-shirt out of it. So it's the money which you have, it's not secure. And most of the people cannot secure the money with the right investments they want to do. And if you think that's an exception to only a few countries, then have a look at the US dollar, which is considered the global currency. If you had US dollars 100 years before, like 105 years if you have a look, then you would have lost 96% of purchasing power. So not only the few developing countries are concerned about the issue that they cannot do the right investments and secure their wealth, but actually the majority of the people, like 99% of the people, are concerned with this problem. And well, this blockchain is the technology which can democratize wealth and give access to better investment opportunities. So how can blockchain do that? They can do it by disintermediation, global access through cryptocurrencies, and more accessible investments through tokenization. Well, the first two I don't think I have to explain it too much because we're in a blockchain conference and you're all aware of it. But to give you a little example about the first two. So now if you want to exchange a certain value, for example, a share on a public listed exchange, which is, I guess, the most easiest thing to exchange nowadays, you still have a lot of intermediaries out there, which all of them charge you a lot of money. So with blockchain, you enable a peer-to-peer transaction without those intermediaries, which is much faster and much cheaper. And you can do it also on a very global scale, because nowadays, if you think about that, you cannot trade US stocks on the German exchange, and the other way around. You cannot trade Deutsche Bank stocks at the New York Stock Exchange or at the Swiss Stock Exchange. But yeah, next to that, the following point which I want to make is the tokenization, the third point which I mentioned in the list. What is tokenization? Tokenization of an asset is linking a real asset to tokens and replicate them by tokens, and may allow people to have a fractional usership. And not only having a fractional usership, but to allow those illiquid assets to become tradable. Why does it make sense? I mean, I told you before that investment into alternative assets especially is limited to only a few amount of investors, the ultra high net worth individuals. And now I would like to share a little story of mine as well in order to show you the problem. So I by myself, I spent several times in the startup industry and managed with one of the startups where I joined as an early stage employee and had a stock option plan, managed to have a little exit. And suddenly I was having, from my point of view, a certain amount of cash, which I wanted to invest and protect it, and not leave it in the bank where I'm basically losing money every day. And I was starting to look at, for example, the startup industry. But no real startup will take a ticket size of $10,000 serious. But if you think about it, $10,000 means that if you invest in 10 startups or even 20 startups, which is the portfolio we should have, because I mean, just statistics show that 9 out of 10 startups fail according to a Harvard study, and actually 9 out of 10 venture-backed startups. So for all the other like pre-venture startups, it's even more. Then you have to have at least 10 to 20 startups in your portfolio. And if you still consider that investing in startups is quite risky, and you should not have more than 20% of your portfolio in startups, you need to be a millionaire basically. Okay, having a look at real estate. If you want to invest into real estate, then and you want to invest into high profitable real estate, for example, in the center of London, or in the center of Zurich, center of New York, center of Tokyo, etc., then you need to be a millionaire as well, because it's you cannot just have a fraction of an apartment so far. You either have the apartment or you don't. And or look at the private equity or venture capital. The minimum ticket size is $500,000 and above, sometimes even $1 million. So it's just not possible for people to invest. And I was starting to think, well, is the majority of people that wealthy that they can access those asset classes? And then I realized, look, in Switzerland, the average wealth is 500,000. In the European Union, it's, let's say, 100,000. And in other parts of the world, it could be even less. It could be around 50,000. This is still enough money to have to protect your wealth. This is still enough money that you want to diversify and do meaningful investments. But it's just not possible for the majority of the people. And if you look at the second point of the liquid investments, most of those assets are completely liquid. So even if you had like $500,000 and you could like buy yourself into a private equity fund, then your money is freezed up to 10 years. Most of the people don't want this. They want to trade and withdraw their money whenever they need it. And most of the people cannot afford to freeze all their money for 10 years. And last but not least, the location. I mean, think about people in Asia which want to buy a certain property in Europe. It's very difficult. Sometimes it's even impossible. But even if it's possible, then you still need to go to notarials, to lawyers, to custodians, to auditors, etc. So it's very high bureaucracy. And what we believe, and here you see a picture of the famous Bitcoin Queen of Switzerland, who made with quite a lot of lobbying towards the politicians to enable the crypto valley to come out of basically nothing. We believe that investment opportunities should be accessible more widely to everyone. Doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter how much money you have. And I will not go into too much detail about what our platform is doing, but basically we're a platform for tokenized alternative investments. Everything which can be tokenized can be put on our platform and can be traded on our platform. And it can be traded fully secure and fully compliant with the regulations, which are basically our two USPs, regulations and security. Why are we focusing exactly on those? If you look at why the market dropped last year, you will see exactly those two problems. There were exchanges out there which were in the gray zone. There were exchanges out there which did illegal things. There were exchanges out there which allowed money laundering, terrorist financing, etc. And on the other hand, there were exchanges with crappy security, which got hacked and millions of people lost their money. And we, on the other hand, we go to the regulator and we ask for more regulations. We ask for clear regulations, and we try to be as compliant as possible. Actually, we are fully compliant. And on the other hand, security, we are one of 6 partners of Ledger Vault, of the Ledger Custody, Enterprise Custody Service. So the money which will be on our platform will be fully secure and towards hackers. So everyone who has the right to protect his wealth can come to our platform and be sure that his wealth is protected from a regulatory perspective and from a technology perspective. And I mean, talking about the potential of our platform, the big guys are still not in the market. Think about the pension funds, think about the mutual funds, all the other funds. They cannot just justify an investment into a platform which is not compliant, or a platform which is not secure, because they're managing the money of millions, if not billions of people. And we are the platform which will enable institutional investors, mutual funds, pension funds, etc., to make a secure investment into this alternative asset classes. Talking about potential, the market cap in the crypto space we're talking in billions. And whereas the marketplace in the real assets, we're talking about trillions. So think about the potential if we will be able to tokenize only a fraction of those real assets. The potential is huge, and they could potentially be trillions of dollars of turnover like on a daily, monthly basis. So to sum up, we are, as I told you, a platform for tokenization of assets, and you can have access to the platform for cryptocurrencies, and you have the regulatory advantage of Switzerland to do all your investments completely legal. So Doesn't matter if you are an investor, because we're still in the investment raising stage, or if you are a potential asset issuer, partner, investor, you will always feel safe on our platform, and we're always happy to welcome you. Like, get connected with us through Telegram, Line, WeChat, KakaoChat, whatever you have. We're always happy to talk to you guys. Thank you.